Alright, Chapter 2, Assets, Liability, Deferred Outflow, Inflow, Fund Balance, Net Position Accounts. Fldoe, Department of Education Bureau of Special Business Services, Office of Funding and Financial Reporting, Financial and Program Cost Accounting Reporting for the Florida Schools 2023. Florida Department of Education, Florida DOE, FLDOE.org. Chapter 2, Assets, Liability, Deferred Outflow, Inflow, Fund Balance, Net Position Accounts. Chapter provides balance sheet account with the number of related definition. Assets 1,000. Assets are reach of the president, service capability, capacity of the district school board, presently control of the government accounting standard board, concept statement 4, paragraph 8 of the presentation, service capacity of the reach of that is an asset with existing capability to ensure that the school district provide educational service. All assets should be listed in order to liquidity on financial statement. 1100 current assets. The current assets include cash over the assets of the responsible expect for the realized in cash or sold or consumed within a year. 1110 cash. All funds for the deposit of the official agent with designated with the custodian with the cash or bank deposits overdraft show with the negative cash for the tribute report with the current liability for the fund financial statement presentation. Please see accounting 2125 cash overdraft. 1111 the cash demand deposit with the deposit of the official agent such for the commercial bank for the payment of the normal operation expenditure such for the withdrawal of the board by board warrant. 1112 the petty cash on hand maintained for the purpose of paying with a small obligation for the issuing of the formal voucher over the check is not a cost effective. 1113 cash change funds cash on hand maintained for the purpose of providing cash register change. 1114 cash official service agent with the deposit of the official agent with the type of the commercial bank with the payment over the matured bonds the interest see all of the deposit of the self of the interest plan agents with advance refunded escrow deposits. 1115 cash interest earning deposits deposit of the generate interest with income usually stipulating with the duration deposit of the rate of the interest. 1117 cash on hand currency coin checks received but not yet deposited. 1120 tax receivable the unelected portion of the tax for the government unit have levied or billed. 1121 taxes receivable taxes that were levied the current operating year remain uncollected. The account should be closed on the June 30th. The amounts held by the tax collector on the behalf of the district school board should be recorded in accounting 1220 due to from other agencies. 1130 receivable amounts due with the good service pension plan with the contributions. 1131 account receivable amounts due with the open account for the private person, firms, corporation for the good services furnished for the school district account receivable should be the net of the gains for the uncollectible amounts. 1132 pension contribution receivable pension contribution district single employer pension plan reported the private pension for the trust funds. 1139 allowable uncollectible account receivable credit an estimate of the uncollected portion of the accounts receivable. 1140 due from other funds amounts due for the goods and services provided by the particular fund to another fund for intern fund loans. 1141 due to the budgetary funds with amounts due to the one fund to the other separate accounts that should be maintained for each intern fund. 1142 due for internal funds amounts due to the advance of the internal accounts separate accounts should be maintained for each of the vans. 1150 of inventory material with the supplies on hand for future use of the operational separate accounts for the categories may be used with the different identify with the different type of the inventory such as the purchase donated food with the materials. 1160 investment of the securities and non-financial assets held primarily for the income of the property which have the president serve with the capacity based solely on the ability to generate cash or to be sold to generate cash. The account does not include the assets used within the school district operation. Separate accounts for each of the category investments must be maintained. 1161 investments United States government securities for the United States of the government acquired by the district school board is so authorized by state held for the production of the income of the former interest. 1116 investment section 10. 1114 Florida state loans amounts invested with the provide proceeds proceeds made pursuant with the 10, 11 to 14 Florida statutes. 1163 investment the state board of education and the capital outlay bond indebtedness state board education capital bond indebtedness bonds issued on the behalf of the school district under Article 12 Section 9 of the Constitution of the State of Florida. 1164 investment state board of administration amounts placed in the state board of administration for investment. 1165 non-financial investment capital assessments required with the expectation of the future income or profit. The assets should be classified as investments for the time acquisition remain classified as investments even if the school district has changed the intended use. 1169. Other governmental securities other than governmental agencies authorized by Florida states not previously identified. 1170. The interest receivable on investment, the amount of the interest receivable on investments excluding purchase interest. 1182. From the insurer, the amounts of the covered by the insurance reinsurance policies. 1200. Other current assets, all other assets of the current in nature that are not specifically provided for the other section. 1112. 10. Deposit the receivable funds deposited with the school district prerequisite to receiving services or goods. 1222. For the other agency amount due for the governmental units for the revenue for the federal through state and state or local sources amount legislative appropriated for school district typically included in this category. 1230. Prepaid item disbursement made on one financial period with the or more accurately reflective expense of the subsequent fiscal year period. 1300. Capital assets, land improvements of the building improvements, vehicle, machinery, furniture, and equipment, and all other tangible and intangible assets used for the operation have useful life that extend beyond the single accounting period, if required through the donation of the capital assessed as distributed measure of the fair value of the time acquisition capital asset, the less liquid asset of the financial statement of the capital assets may be added to the two category financial statement of the presentation, non-depreciable capital assets and depreciable assets net. 1310. Land acquisition cost for the land owned by a school system. Land is purchased with the account included with the purchase price for the other costs incurred to prepare the land for the use, such as legal fees, filing, excavation costs, or other improvements. 1315. Land improvement is not depreciable. The cost of the permanent improvement of the land that are not connected with the original purchase of the land that are not subject to the depreciation. Alright, 1320. Improvements of the other building with the cost of the non-permanent improvements of the other building that add value to the land, except for the included the fence, retaining wall, sidewalks, sewage treatments with an original expanded pavement and project fixed playground, equipment and flag poles, gateways, underground storage tanks that are not part of the building service system. 1329. Accumulated depreciation improvements of the other than buildings. The accumulation of the systematic and rational allocation of the cost improvements to other than buildings over the useful life of the asset. 1330. Buildings, fixed equipment, the cost of the permanent structures due for the whole house, person, property owned by the schools. If the buildings are for the purchase or constructive accounts include the acquisition, construction, cost of the permanent building and fixture attached to, forming a permanent part of the such build for the account that includes all of the building improvements, includes the upgrade of the age of the building and wiring for technology. 1339. Accumulated depreciation building and fixed equipment for the accumulation systematic rational allocation for the cost of the building of the fixed equipment over the useful life of the asset. 1340. Furniture fixture for the equipment. The cost of furniture fixture for the equipment owned by the school system account includes teaching, laboratory research, the diagnostic testing, administrative equipment that is useful for students. Accumulated 1349. Accumulated depreciation furniture fixture for the equipment accumulation systematic rational allocation cost for the furniture fixture the equipment that you over the useful lives of the asset. With the 1350. Motor vehicle for the cost of transportation include the motor vehicle for the student transportation for the vehicle, school buses, trucks, vans, scooters, motorcycle, passenger cars, or other motorized unit. 1359. Accumulated depreciation motor vehicle for the accumulation systematic rational allocation for the cost of the motor vehicle's useful life of the asset. With the 1360. Construction of the progress for the actual costs incurred to date with the construction of the work undertaken but not yet completed. The count reflects the total construction costs recorded as expenditure for the capital project funds. 1370. Property under leases or SBITA with the present value of the SBITA of the payments required as assets. Accumulated amortization property used under lease of the SBITA with accumulation systematic rational allocation cost of the property under the lease of the SBITAs over the useful life of the asset. 1380. Audio-visual computer software for the cost of audio-visual material for the computer software to meet for the criteria capitalization audio-visual material for the cost of the audio-visual material owned by the school districts. 12. 1382. For the cost computer software, the cost of the computer software purchased for the school district for the refer to the staff of the programs associated with the documentation used for the control of the operation of the computer. These two primaries for the type of the software or system software that include the operating system for the program language of the utility programs due for the application program that is designed to perform with the tab of the database management spreadsheet function instruction word process. Generally, when free software is acquired with the computer hardware, the single purchase price for the relative value of the software material with the total cost necessary to allocate with the acquisition cost of both software and hardware in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles of the lump sum of the basket purchase with another less system software required in conjunction with the computer hardware may be recorded as part of the equipment purchase with no allocation from the cost to software. Software will Software will not be removed, transferred in any way separately with the original hardware. If the software have originally recorded with the equipment is subsequently removed, the transfer attached with the original hardware, it will be necessary to retroactively allocate the portion of the original cost if the material of the software proper recording of the removal of the transfer. 1388. Accumulated depreciation audiovisual material for the accumulation systematic rational allocation of the cost of the audiovisual material over the estimated useful life of the asset. 1389. Accumulated amortization computer software. The accumulated systematic national allocation of the cost of the computer software over the estimated useful life of the assets. 1400. Non-current assets, the other post-employment benefits to the assets to the account with the fundage over the post-employment benefits set aside with the pay of the future benefits. Result of the net obligation assessed for the government-wide proprietary fund financial statement presentation. 1415. Pension assets with the record the amount of the pension plans for the beneficiary net with a portion exceed with the total pension liability with the measured date with the assets with the associated with a different pension plan with the may be displayed and aggregated with the financial statement that should be displayed separately for the aggregated pension liabilities. 1420. Section 10, 11, and 13 with the Florida statute loan proceed with any interest earnings that are placed in revocable escrow account pursuant to statute 10, 11, 13, 2 with the Florida statutes. 1425. Lease receivable deferred inflow of the resource of the lessors. 1430. Prepaid insurance call for the prepaid insurance call associated with the insurance issuing with the debt with the recognize with the expense of the systematic rational over the manner over the duration related debt. 1460. Long-term investment, but the investment is not reasonably expected to be realized in cash within a year. 1500. Budgetary debit. A group of general ledger accounts that normally have the debit the balance of the used and to achieve the budgetary integration with the accounting system estimate. 1510. The estimated revenue, the amount of revenue estimated realized during the budget period, whether they collected in the same subsequent period. 1520. Encumbrance of the commitments of the form of the purchaser over the contract with the chargeable for the operation of the representation of the reserve of the budgetary fund balance on a purchase order or contract is fulfilled with the encumbrance of the removed from the accounting records. 1900. Deferred outflows and reserve of the deferred outflows and reserve of the consumption of the net assets for the school district is applicable for the future reporting system for the government accounting standard board concept 4 paragraph 32. Deferred outflows reserve of the should be combined with the assets to determine the elements meet with the criteria for the major funding determination. 1910. Accumulated decrease in fair value of the hedging derivative of the school district shall have the hedge accounting in which change of the fair value of the hedging derivative of the instrument reported as the deferred outflow, the deferred inflows for the resource in 1920. Net carrying amount of the debt refunding either of the current refunding with advance for the refunding as a result of the deficiency of the debt with the amount with the increase of the difference between the recognized of the price of the net carrying amount of the old debt with the amount should be recognized with a component of the interest expense for the systematic rational manner of the remaining life of the old debt or the life of the new debt, whichever is shorter. 1940. Pension from the collective deferred outflows reserve related to the pension arising from the certain change of the collective of the net pension liability with the change that include the difference between expected actual experience with the change of the assumption with the difference between expected the actual earnings and plan investment. 1950. Other post-employment benefits are OPEB. Collective deferred outflows for the reserve of the related to the other post-employment benefits, which include certain changes within the net or other post-employment benefits liability that have not included the other post-employment benefit expenses, employer contributions subsequent to the measure for the date with the net of the other post-employment benefits liability. 1960. Asset retirement obligation estimate with the current value of the outlays expected to be incurred. 2000. Liability fund balance of the net position. Her liabilities were presented with the obligation to sacrifice for the reserve of the district school board as little or no discretion to avoid the government accounting standards of this concept statement that tab 4. Paragraph 17, all liabilities should be listed in order of how quickly it can be liquidated, the financial reserve of the financial statement. The 2100 current liabilities represent the operation of the liquidation responsibly expected to require the use of the existing reserve of the properly classified of the current assets of the creation of the other current liabilities. 2110 accrued salaries and benefits costs incurred during the current accounting of the period that is not payable until the subsequent accounting period. 2115 Pension liability, the portion proportionate share of the pension that is normally expected to liquidate with the expended available financial resource for the 12/1/16. Other post-employment benefits liability actually to determine the contribution annually required contribution current period that will be liquidated either by the next actual accrual valuation date, which will be the 1 year with the reporting date, whichever is later. 2120 accountable payable accounts payable liabilities represent the amount of the due to the open account for the private person or organization for the goods and services received by the school system, excluding the amounts due to the other funds of the other government. 2125 of the cost of the cash overdraft, the amount of the overextending of the current available, the reach of the result of the credit balance for the cash. 2130, the judgment payable, the amounts owed by the result of the court decision, including the condemnation of the awards of the private property taken from the public use. 2140, construction contract payable, the amounts due to the school system on a contract with construction, building, other structure, or other improvements. 2150 construction contracts payable, the retained percentage amount due to the construction contract represented the percent of the total contract price withheld pending final inspection lapse at the specified time or both. 2160 due to the other fund of the amounts owed for the good and service rendered by a particular fund to another fund within the school district. This included a temporary loan with the cash between funds allowable under 101109 Florida statute for a period of 13 months or less. 2161 due to the budgetary funds amount with the over the particular fund with another fund within the school district, excluding amounts due to the school internal funds. 2162 due to the internal funds amounts owned by the particular fund with the school internal funds for the school district. Separate accounts shall be maintained with each liability. 2170 payroll deduction withholding amounts to be deducted for the employee with the salaries, withholding taxes, other purposes. Separate liability accounting may be used for each type of deduction. Alright, 2180, in matured bonds payable, the unpaid bonds for the reach for the passer for the maturity date with the accounting 11/14 cash official service agents should be used to record amounts remitted for the pay agent for the payment of the liability. 2190, matured interest payable, the unpaid interest on the bonds that have the reach for the past their maturity date, accounting 11/14 cash official service agents should be used to record amounts remitted for the paying agent with the payable of the liability. 2200, other current liabilities. All of the other current liabilities are not provided with specifically preceding the subsequent. 2210, accrued interest payable, the interest due within 1 year. 2220, deposit payable, liability for the deposit received, the prerequisite to the providing service or goods. 2230, due with the other agencies, amounts over the reporting school district for the other governmental funds, separate account for the may be maintained for each of the liability. 2240, due with the official service amounts due with official agents, such as the commercial banks, for servicing school district matured debt. 2250, the current note with the payable amounts due with the short-term government accounting principles, specifically indicating government funding, accounting for other financial sources should not be reported in connection with the tax anticipation notice and revenue anticipated notes. Instead of the notes should be reported as fund liabilities. 2251, section 10, 11 to 13 of the Florida statute, anticipation notes cash flow for the operating with the debt service capital outlay, the expenditure from the borrowing with the anticipation of future receipts. 2252, section 10, 11 to 14 and 10, 11 to 15 Florida State statute notes payable, the obligation of the authorized provisions 10, 11 to 14 and 10, 11 to 15 Florida statute. If the board does not intend to extend the obligation beyond 1 year. 2253, bond anticipation, no short-term notes sold to the anticipation of the bond issue, the necessary legal severability with the consummate with the refinancing of the criteria have not been met, but these notes shall be reported with the liability governmental fund as well with the government-wide statement of the net position. 2254, line of credit. 2259, other short-term loan. 2260, sale tax payable with the sale tax collected for the school district that must be remitted to the state. 2270, estimated liability self-insurance program. Estimated unplanned claim for the self-insurance program. Self-insurance retention limited. Maximum amount of one loss school district determines if it sustains for the setting claims under the self-insurance retention threshold for events and have occurred on before the balance sheet date, including reported claims incurred but not reported. Or 2272, estimated liability claims adjustment additional amount for the provided for the estimated paid claims of the self-insurance program or cover the investigate self-claims that relate to the insured events that have occurred or before the balance sheet due but are not reported to the school district. 2280, estimated liability Arbitrage rebate. School districts calculate arbitrage rebate liability should not treat the amount of the rebate as of the reduction of the investment revenues. In addition, liability should not be recognized with the government funding until the due within payable. With the due and payable, the liability should be recorded on the government fund and the generated interest earning of the subjective rebate. 2290 internal acquisition payable amounts held on the behalf of the other internal accounts of the custodial fund. 2300 long-term liability. Long-term liabilities are debt with the school district paying to hold more than 1 year. Long-term liabilities take the longest to liquidate within the financial reach of the report of the non-current liabilities on the financial statements of the long-term liabilities may be the net of the two categories: financial statement, the presentation due within 1 year, 2 within more than 1 year. 2310 notes payable, the unconditional written promise of the sign of the maker to pay certain sum of the money demanded that were fixed for the determinable future amount, either on the bearer or the person designated on the notes. 2313 with a section 1011 14, 1011 15 Florida State statute notes payable obligation authorized under provision 1011 14, 1011 15 Florida State statute. If the board intend to extend the obligation year to year with the consent of the lender for the period not to exceed 4 years with a total of 5 years, including the initial year of the loan. 2313 bond anticipation short-term notes for the notes sold the anticipation bond with the full faith credit obligation of the school of the district are to be retired from proceeds of the bonds to be sold with the 2315 obligation over the lease of the SBITA of the present with the future payments of the lease agreement of the SBI or SBITAs. Alright, bonds payable, the long-term obligation school debt with which for the repayment of the support of the full faith with credit with the school district form of the tax liability, the bonds reported that arm in arm type of the premium, the discount, the statement of the debt position, detail of the premium, the discounts, just go over the notes of the financial statement. The state board of education of the capital outlay bond issuance bonds payable the principal of the bonds for the state board of education on behalf of the school district. Article 12 section 9 Constitution of the state of Florida authorizes the district school board to request the state board of education issue the bonds for on behalf of the local school district school boards. The bond does not have to approve of the election referendum. The Florida Department of Education prepared the resolution validation proceed with the requisite bids and prints deliverable bonds sold with the company for the required reserve of the amount of the annual amount with the payment of principal, the interest of the bank charge, the of the bonds have with the designated with the State Board of Education capital outlay bond issuance. 2322 for the district bonds payable, the principal paid balance due with the general obligation issued for the school district authorized by the voters for the school district. Type of the indebtedness is usually retired with a special tax levy on non-exempt issues less video of the real and personal property but the school district has issued with its bond. 2323 special actions bonds payable, the principal due on the bond with the revenue certificates issued for the school district pursuant to the authority granted for the special acts of the legislator. 2334 motor vehicle license revenue bonds payable, the principal balance for the bonds for the revenue circle for the school district authorized by the legislature. These bonds are issued at the school district level, not to be confused with the bonds issued on behalf of the school district unit under Article 12, Section 9, Constitution of the State of Florida. 2326 sales surtax bonds payable, the principal balance due on the bonds issued for the capital facility acquisition construction. The debt is secured for the pledge for the sale of the surtax revenue authorized pursuant to 212 055 Florida State Statute. 2330 liability compensated absence for the amount of the employees for the unpaid vacation sick leave liabilities based on the right to receive the compensation future absence for the arbitrary attributably to the service already rendered. 2340 lease purchase agreement and payable, the obligation of lease purchase agreements for the financial instrument to provide the issue for the cash-free financial with the reconstruction of the capital and acquisition lease purchase for the agreements are reported on unamortized premium, the discounts of the statement of the net position, detail of the premium, the discounts of the disclosure of the notes of the financial statement. The 2341 certificate of participation of the payable are COPS lease of the purchase, the obligation result of the issuance of the certificate of participation, which are financial instruments provided with the issue of the cash and funding for the construction of the capital acquisition, full faith for the credit of the school district not pledge for the payment. 2342 qualified zone in the academy payable the tax credit of the bonds category of the lease purchase obligation from the school for the district provided with the federal tax cap and credits in lieu of the interest payment. The certificate holder that perceives that over the bonds may be due for the rehabilitating, repairing public school facility, the investing in the new equipment and technology and developing challenging course material with a training teachers that cannot be used for new school construction. 2343 qualified school construction bonds or QSCBs payable with a tax credit characterized lease purchase agreement that authorized under the American Recovery Reinvestment Act the finance for the school construction and other liability projects for public school for which bondholders receive federal tax credits in lieu of the school district paying interest on the borrowing. But Build America bonds or BAB payable tax credit bonds that authorize the lease purchase for the obligation authorized under the American Recovery Reinvestment Act to finance the construction, rehabilitation, repair of public school facilities for other purposes of the agreement, either that provides the tax credit of the bondholder in lieu of the part of the interest on the reimbursement of the portion of interest of the school district pay. 2349 other lease purchase agreement payable lease purchase obligation from the other tax exempt programs used to finance the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and the equipment of the educational facility. 2350 the estimated liability long-term claim amounts due with the long-term claim but not otherwise classified, including estimates of the insurance claim and the judgment. 2360 the other post-employment benefits the obligation account with the accrual calculation of the OPEB other post-employment benefits net fund amounts for result of the net obligation liability government-wide proprietary fund financial statement of presentation. 2365 net pension liability with the total pension liability less amount of the pension plan with the judiciary net position of the unfunded accrued liability for the cost sharing plan. School district net pension liability is equal to the proportional share of the total net pension liability for all participating employers calculated based on the school district proportionate share of the total estimated long-term employer contribution. If the plan's valuation has not been performed at the end of the pension plan fiscal year, but the total pension plan is required to be based on the updated procedure for the roll forward amounts of the earlier accrual valuation liabilities associated with a different pension plan that may be displayed in an aggregated school should be displayed separately with the aggregated pension assets of the school district should recognize liability with the government fund financial statement of 4.1 define construction plan with a contribution from the due from the payable with the presumed legal contractual requirement. 2 with the defined benefit plan payments for the due and payable excess available to reserve of the pension trust. 23.7 an estimated public education outflow or PICO advance payment obligation for the repayment of the public education capital outlet funds received pursuant to statute 10.13.64.2 Florida State statute. Alright, 2380 other long-term liabilities include with the asset required for the obligation, with the 2390 other instrument with the liability with financial arrangement maintenance, specifically requirement to make investments include with the derivative interest associated with the hedge items. 2400 other non-current liabilities, other liabilities not provided with the proceeding with the subsection of the obligation are not really or reasonably expected to require the use of the existing resource properly classified as current assets to liquid. Today, 2410 unearned revenues liability representing revenues collected by but unearned. 2411 unearned revenue or what was it? Public education capital outlet with the annual allocation of public education capital outlet funds for the encumbrance for the authorization has not been issued. 2412 the unrevenued cash advance from grants received in advance of meeting the eligibility requirements other than timing. 2413 unrevenued others. 2414 unrevenued classroom first program unearned revenue represented by cash advance for the classroom first program. 2,500 budgetary credits for the group of the general ledger accounts with the normally have with the credit balance for the achieve the budgetary integration of the accounting system at 2510 with the operations authority granted with the district school board to make with the expenditure for the incur of the obligation name of the school district for the specified purpose of the balance due with the fiscal year. Alright, deferred inflows and reach for the deferred inflow, reach for the acquisition of net flow with the school district that is applicable to the future reporting period of the government accounting standing board with concept 4, paragraph 34. The deferred inflows resources should be combined with the liability to confirm which elements meet with the criteria for the major fund determination. 26% accumulated increase of the fair value of the hedging derivative of the school district should have the hedge accounting with which change of the fair value of the hedge derivative instruments are reported with the other with the deferred inflow of the deferred outflows of the resources. 2620 deficit net carrying amount with a debit debt refunding. The use of the eve of the current of the refunding in advance of the refund with the result of the deficiency of the debt with the amount is the difference between the acquisition price of the net carrying the amount with the old debt, resulting with the deficit of the net carrying amount with the amount should be recognized as the component of the interest expense for the systematic manner with the remaining life of the old debt with the life of the new debt, whichever is shorter. 2630, deferred revenue. 2631, a deferred revenue cash advance from the grant of the grants received in advance of the meeting of the time requirement. 2632, the deferred revenue unavailable revenue that has been earned but will not be received within 30 to 60 days after the end of the fiscal year, depending on the school district policy. 2639, deferred revenue other that includes leases receivable with lessors. 26.4, pension and the collective of the deferred inflow reach for the relief of the pension arising the certain change of the collective net position liability changes include the difference between the expected the actual experience and change of the assumption, and the difference between expected the actual earning of the plan investment amounts should be amortized with the per calculating pension of the expense. 2650 off the other than post-employment benefit, the collective of the deferred inflows regardless of the other post-employment benefits, including change of the net with the other post-employment benefit liability that have not been included with the other post-employment benefit expense. Alright, chapter 2700 to 2800 fund and balance net position. On the balance sheet for the government fund for the asset plus for the deferred outflows, the reach for the equal liability plus for the deferred inflow, reach for the plus fund balance on the statement of the net position, proprietary and fiduciary funds, and for government-wide financial statement, the presentation assets of the plus deferred outflows and of reach for the last liability less deferred inflows of the reach over the equal net position. 27 to 10 through 27 to 50. Fund balance of the asset of the deferred outflow, the reach over the over liabilities plus for the deferred inflows of the reach over the representative fund of the governmental funds at the end of the fiscal year. Fund balance is reported with the 5 classification compromise with the hierarchy, preliminary base with the relative of the strength with the constraint with the control of the house with the amount can be spent. 27 to 2, non-spendable with the refer with the net current with the financial reach over the cannot be spent with the recover the either the not separable form or are legally with the contractually required to maintain intact with the generally not expendable form means that the item is not expected to be converted to cash. Government Accounting Standing Board 54, paragraph 6. Example, the items are not expendable to include with the inventory prepaid amounts, long-term amounts of the loan modes of the receivable property required for resale. If either the proceeds or any of the above, the example, the restricted committee of the assigned that perceive that should be included with the appropriate fund balance classification or other non-spendable, the corpus or principal of the permanent fund with an example over the amount of the legally contractually required to be maintained with the intact, therefore this would be classified as non-spendable. 2711 inventory, 2712 the repaid amount, 2713 permanent fund principal, 2719 other non-spendable form. The school district encouraged and identified with the cause of the fund balance not spendable form on the face of the financial statement. 2720. Restricted the portion of fund balance with which constraints have been in place for the creditors of the grantor, the contributors of the law of the regulation of the other governments of the constitutional provisions enabling legislation. Restricted fund balance placed at the most binding level of constraint with the use of fund balance of the Government Accounting Standing Board 54.8, paragraph 8, although with a similar restricted component with the net position classification will vary depending on the measure focus of the basic accounting employed in reporting the net position fund balance. 27 to 21, economic stabilization. The term stabilization refers to the economic stabilization, revenue stabilization, budgetary stabilization, and other similar intended arrangements include the rainy day funds and the formula account that impose the parameters of spending should identify with the described specific circumstance under which the need stabilization arises if the required note of disclosure related with the stabilization agreement. 27 to 22, with the federal required carryover program segregated portion of the fund balance of the presentation unexpected balance of the federal program fund carried fund forward to the subsequent fiscal year to expend with the specific purposes for the program. 27 to 23, state required carryover the program segregated portion of the fund balance presentation unexpected balance of the categorical basic program funds earmarked funds carried forward to the subsequent fiscal year pursuant Rule 6A 10141 Florida Administrative Codes 27 to 24, local state fund tax other than the tax level, the segregated portion of the fund balance for the presentation on the balance funds raised through the local school sales tax other the tax levy, the expenditure in accordance for the purpose of which they were raised. For example, the pursuant 10, 11, 71, 2, 3, and 4 of the Florida State Statute 11, the tax may only be expended for specific purposes pursuant to the statute 212, 055, 2, and 6 of the Florida Statute. Local sales tax levy, the authorization for the district school board or through the intergovernmental agreement for the capital improvement. 27 to 25, the debt service, the restricted portion of the fund balance for the debt service from the funds of the winners are not raised with the tax levy, the requirement to maintain a certain level of the fund balance based upon the amount of the outstanding debt. 27 to 26, the capital project for the restricted portion of the fund balance for the capital project for further funds but not raised with the local sales tax for the other tax levy. 27 to 29, other restricted school of the district with the encouraged to identify the purpose of the which fund balance is restricted with the face of the financial statement. 27 to 30, committed for the portion of fund balance that can only be used for the specific purpose of pursuing with the constraint with imposed with the formal action on the highest level of the decision making of the district school board, but the amounts cannot be used for any of the other purpose unless the district school board removes and changes specified use but taking same action employed with the previously committed to the amounts of the government accounting standing board. 54 paragraph 10, authorization committed for the balance specifically purpose should occur with the prior to the end of the reporting period of the committed but committed amounts of the determined subsequent period before financial statements are issued. 27 to 31, economic stabilization. The term stabilization refers to the economic stabilization, revenue stabilization, budgetary stabilization, or similar arrangement, including rainy day funds with the formal action imposed with the parameter spending, with it should identify with the describe with the specific circumstance on with the need of the stabilization arrived at the required note with the disclosure related to the stabilization arrangement. 27 to 32, with the contractual arrangement, contractual obligation extend with existing with the resource of the funds with the specifically committed for the use of the satisfying with the contractual requirements. 27 to 39, other commitments the school districts incurred to identify for the purpose of the funding balance committed on the face of the financial statements. 27 to 40, assigned. The portion of the fund balance of the intended to use the specific purpose neither restricted nor committed for the assigned amount included for the amounts that have been assigned for the specific purpose of the authorized government body with official from which constraints imposed as unsatisfied criteria with the classified with the amounts restricted or committed with the government accounting standing board. 54 paragraph 13, the authority assuring or assigning funding balance need not to be the highest decision-making level of the government entity. But in this case, the district school board, they can be the committee with the governing body or an individual delegated with the authority by the district school board. Assigned amounts should be established prior to the end of the reporting period. 27 to 41, special revenue, residual classification, special revenue fund for the other negative amounts. 27 to 42, with the debt service, the residual classification debt service funds or other than negative amounts. 27 to 43, capital project, the residual classification capital project funds or the other negative amounts. 27 to 44, permanent fund with the residual classification permanent fund or the other negative amounts. 27 to 49, other assignment, the other assignment with the purpose of the general fund or other than either restricted nor committed with the amount cannot be the deficit of the unassigned fund balance. The school district is encouraged to identify with the purpose of the fund balance as assigned on the face of the financial statement of 27 to 50. Unassigned, the portion of the fund balance with the residual classification general fund of the balance of the represents of the amount that have not been assigned with the other government funds that have not been restricted committed that are assigned the specific purpose of the governmental funds. If residual is still negative, eliminating the assigned fund balance with the negative residual amount should be classified or assigned fund with the balance government accounting standing board. 54 paragraph 17. 27 to 70 to 27 to 90, net position residual with all other elements with the reside with the state with the net position for the government-wide financial statement. The presentation or proprietary fiduciary funds is measured by the difference between A, the asset of the deferred outflows of the resources, B, the liability of the deferred inflows of the resources, government accounting standard board with concept of the statement 4, paragraph 36, 27 to 70, the net investment of the capital asset of the component of the net position consists of the capital asset of the net of the accumulated depreciation due for the outstanding balance of the bonds, mortgages, notes, the other borrowings of the either directly attributed to the acquisition, construction, and improvement of those assets. The 27 and 80 restricted component of the net position consists of the restricted asset of the due for the liability of deferred inflows of the resource of the related to those of the asset of the liability relates to restricted asset of the assets result of the resource flow, but the also result of the recognition of the liability or liability will be liquidated with the restricted assets. The reported restricted net position should be distinguished between major categories of the restriction. 27 and 85 held in trust, pension benefits, the other purpose. Difference between assets of the deferred outflows of the resource of the liability deferred inflows of the sources of the fiduciary funds. 27 to 90 be unrestricted. That amount of the asset of the deferred outflow for the resource of the liability of the deferred inflow resource does not include the determination of the net investment of the capital asset restricted components of the net position. Chapter 3. Revenue Accounts.